Lord, grant me the serenity to understand the things I cannot change. Grant me the courage to change the things that I can. And grant me the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today. Amen. Away from me.
You close to the edge, just don't move. My brother said his lawyer just gave him some bad news. Police found the drugs that were stashed in the bathroom. Not only that, but his court date approaching us fast too. So tell me what to do, Lord, you only seek the truth. If you want to bear fruit, then it needs to abide in you. If you seek transformation, it happens in solitude. Since I never had a shot, God threw me the alley-oop. I believe I can fly, let me mingle with the angels. Heaven's in my peripheral, I see it from an angle. If I can fly, let me mingle with the angels. Heaven's in my peripheral, I see it from an angle.
I just want the kingdom, they can keep the enterprise. Everything we got is rented, close the casket, nothing's in it. I just got the test of tenant, I can't take it to, can't take it. Put in work, 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 put in work. DJ
Welcome. It's your boy, Bro Troy.
Kurt.
Bro Smith's not here, but we still are the Bro Code. What's happening, bro? How you feeling, man?
You all right?
I'm good, man. Hey, man, we are doing it again. We're in a new space.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about what that space is, man. But I'm curious for yourself. You know, tonight we have an opportunity to talk to a creative. You know, someone that works on multiple levels, similar to what we do with young people and really sparking that creative mindset and critical thinking skills. So I gotta ask, who is one of your favorite creatives?
Wow. So clothing, Virgil Abloh, who rest in peace.
Yeah.
Right, passed away this year. But man, what he was able to do in the creative space of art, I think he had a degree, but it wasn't in art. And bro, he took a company Off-White, and changed up and made it, then partnered with Nike.
Yep.
Right?
That collaboration and
Shoes
partnership we always talk about.
Partnership, right?
Absolutely, man.
But,
very important.
I would say Virgil Abloh, man, and what he was able to do in the creative space.
Yeah. Outside of the creativity part, man, I think sometimes we don't talk about this enough. Similar to him and Chadwick, man, they were dealing with something and really did it internally in peace. You know, found peace in himself, but I think it's important for us to be able to share and heal. You know, life happens, it happens really quickly. So I can get with that, brother. I really can. Mine is music. Like before the show, we were talking about music and grew up in Atlanta. And, you know, the gentleman that's coming on the show mentioned to me that Bone Crusher. Now, I take nothing away from, and we're talking about Atlanta music, right? Now, in 95, 96, obviously Outkast, right? Goody Mob, everything, Addict Crew, Addict Family, Kilo, Too Short, Yin Yang Twins, maybe a little bit later on, but nonetheless,
T.I.
I can't remember, how can I forget Tip?
T.I.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I would say the music part. You know, the music part it's a heartbeat. It's something that brings back memories, right? So creative, I call myself an outcast. I do. You know, and sometimes I think that cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
Right? We move different. We talk about that all the time. So from a creative standpoint, I think I would have to go with Cash, bro.
It's crazy. How long has it been? What year? When did they come out? Outkast.
94?
Bro,
had to be.
Listen,
it had to be about 94.
Once a week, I listen to Outkast still. I remember when Southern Pay and Listen came out.
Oh, it's always in the rotation.
Right.
ATL was different for me. Yeah.
Well, some about both of those. So talented.
And you're right. It's so funny. And they collaborated with Goody Mob to do that one.
Right.
Get up, get out,
right.
and do something. Indeed. Right. I love it, man. Well, nothing great happens alone. And we're going to talk a little bit more about where we're at. But we got something on screen. And it really reminds me, for those that are watching, please go to our YouTube page. Right here in front of you. Looks just like this. Go to Bro Code TV Productions. Hit on the subscribe so that way all of the courageous conversations that you see, and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. you'll get another one right here on the Bro Code. Also go to our Instagram page at Bro Code Show right now. Not now, but when?
Right now.
Right now. Right? Go there, subscribe, catch up with all of the things that we're already doing, all of the greatness that we're already doing, and stay tuned for so much more on the Bro Code. So for real quick, man, we got my man Eric Saliim, I believe, man, professor. Like we gotta put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, we are at the North Carolina Central University Eagle Pride,
Eagles,
Durham, Bull City stand up. Eric, where you at, man? Come through, man. We here at the FAB LAB. This is the crib, man.
This is
it.
This is it, bro.
Yes,
How you feeling, man? What's good with you?
Well,
Feeling
happy
good?
to have you.
Yeah, man, we're happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us, man. So we always ask, well, I don't know, do you want to get in on that as a creator yourself?
Yeah, I get in.
Okay. We asked, before you jumped in, like, who's your favorite creative? And we're talking about all kind of spans. So what's your thoughts, man, on a creator?
Who's my favorite creator? I'm gonna go with Idris Sandu at this particular point.
You gotta school us.
Because I'm in a
You gotta school us.
because I'm in a tech space. This is the guy who helped Nipsey design a marathon store. So the price tags, although you like look at it, it don't just show you a price. Like it shows you an experience, this AR, VR type of experience. It might show you a Nipsey concert. It might show you something else, but it's part of an experience. So he's that guy. He's worked with Twitter, Instagram, Google. Like he's worked with all of the main types of tech companies.
Okay.
But he's a kind of freelancer guy, self-taught.
Yeah.
Library, reading the books. Actually just ran into a guy at Starbucks.
Okay.
And the
I remember
dude,
Nipsey talking about that. Yo, what you doing, man?
Yeah,
He said
yeah.
you're doing something different.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they see his energy, man, and they just showed him love. So that's how he was able to get into the arena.
Wow.
Into the tech space.
So you're blowing my mind on this one. I got to paint the picture for a visual person. So if there's a video in this content, it's tied in the clothing itself.
On tag.
Wow, on the tag. So it actually plays some type of substance. So not a QR code or something that's scannable, something that actually plays on the clothes.
Right. It's on the tag that you can interface with. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of like Pokemon Go type of thing.
Isn't the whole store like a smart store?
Yeah, yeah,
Isn't the whole
concept? The
Right.
whole concept.
Nipsey was on something
interactive,
The whole store.
interactive experience.
We got
that.
we got to
Yeah, we gotta get out there. That's
But that's him. That's that guy.
I can dig it.
Yeah,
I can dig
so
it.
I'm really liking him, man.
Well, it makes sense now for those who are listening. Please, Eric Saliim, run us your resume, man. First, tell us where we're at.
Okay.
Right? Where we're at, where we're sitting at, how you're involved in that, and then put some respect on your name.
Okay.
Let people know who you are.
Okay, got you. Well, you are currently in one of the first FAB labs at HBCU. This is an NCCU FAB lab. I have to give credit to Professor Emeritus at MIT, Clarence Williams, who was a Central graduate of 1961, who actually earmarked us to be one of the locations to put a FAB lab. It's actually an outreach program of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Center for Bits and Atoms. It's part of their outreach program.
Okay.
I think it's probably like about 2,000 or 3,000 FAB labs across the whole world. Again, we are one of the few to have the honor to be on HBCU campus. Me, myself, I am a graduate of Central, class of 94. Graduated with a BS degree in biology. Went on to New York University, School of Environmental Health, where I got my master's in toxicology. Spent some time out of NIEHS, which is the National Institute of Environmental Health Science, out in RTP. I studied cancer, particularly chemotherapeutic drugs and the damage that they cause. After killing, I'm gonna say I probably killed about a couple thousand rats, man. That's part of my research. I got tired of coming to work every day, harvesting rats is what they call it. Although the money was good, the travel was good, I felt like I could be doing something a little bit more impactful. I thought going into toxicology, I could kind of clean up some of the hazardous chemicals that are in the world. But I found out it's a lot more work than one man can do. So again, I wanted to do something impactful. So one of my colleagues was chair of the department here, which is Department of Biological and Biomedical Sciences. So I kind of called her up. At the time, we were having students come to the lab. They weren't as sharp as they needed to be, and it was kind of reflecting badly on the university. So I initially started by saying, like, before they come out here, like, let me have them for a little bit, give them like a little prep, a little pathway to what we expecting, so that when they get here, it's not like deer in the headlights. So they actually kind of went kind of well, and it just snowballed. So now I've been a professor here now, about 15 years now? At the university, same department, still doing the same thing, trying to prepare young people for when they walk out the door.
Well, Eric, that's cool, man. I'm wondering, all things IT, we'll talk a little bit more about your childhood as we go in and how you kind of got into that realm. But I'm curious, if you weren't doing IT, if you weren't working at Central, if you weren't working in STEM, what would you be doing?
Wow, that's a crazy question. Like, what would I be doing? Man, I hope I'd be doing something. I'm really into, like, young people. We haven't, I mean, you alluded to it and talk about, like, some of my childhood. Most of my childhood, I was kind of by myself, so to speak, because, like, parents were working, I was a single parent child, so it was just me. So a lot of times I think children need, you know, that support to kind of get them to the next level or to the next step. So I just like young people. So I will probably be doing something with young people. I've done some coaching, I've done some mentoring, even down to, but you said not teaching. So I kind of leave it like that. I'll be doing something with young people. Yeah, I'm not sure what, but it'll be something.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
We need that village.
We do, man. Support. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because in the work that we do with youth, we share those same sentiments, and those words, they do have value. Right? And it's needed, man. You got it.
So, if you've missed it, we're sitting with Eric, who is a professor at NCCU. Let's talk about your background a little bit. Your upbringing. You talked about it a little bit earlier, but let's talk a little bit more about, first of all, coming from, and it resonates with me and Brother Troy here too, coming from a single family home, man. Speak to that and how important that is.
So yeah, that was, I came up in Martinsville, Virginia, which is a little bit outside of Danville, which is kind of close South Boston area, not too far. That's why I came up with, you know, family was brought up in the mills, so to speak, you know, where you got multi-generations working in the mills. So that's kind of what we came up with. Everything was church-based. Man, I probably was in church
3 times.
More than I care to remember at this point. But that was kind of like my upbringing. My mom actually got married and kind of moved away to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is where I spent, I would say, the majority of my childhood.
Trey Ford.
Trey Ford. Went through that Winston-Salem, Forsyth County school system. But anyway, that didn't work out. Ended up getting divorced. After the divorce, we spent some time in Tennessee, probably about 3 years in Tennessee. Shout out to Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Learned the love of country music there. But mom came back to Winston-Salem, and that's where I call home. I would say coming up as an only child was kind of rough. Particularly because I was in sports. I would say I remember vividly lots of games with parents coming to the children after the game to kind of congratulate them. And I had none of that. I kind of just had to wait till the activity bus. At that time, we were riding the activity bus. So I had to kind of wait till everything got wrapped up in the activity bus before I actually got home to mom. And even sometimes, depending upon when we finished up, she might still not be there from getting off 2 or 3 jobs working. So that was kind of hard for me, man, just coming up. So I always said, if I had the opportunity, like, I was gonna be there. I was gonna be there for somebody. Coming up, like, I was like, I was angry at moms, but it took me a while as I got older and started having my own children to kind of realize, like, it must have been tough for her. You know, having to deal with what she was dealing with, having her child out kind of by herself. And the only thing that she could do was, like, be sure you call me.
That's right.
When you get home, you know, when you're to go to bed, like, call me. So that's all she had. So back to what I said, I would probably be dealing something with children, because I know how that felt when it seems like you didn't have that support there for you when you coming up, dealing with all of the volatility of being a young person trying to navigate themselves in society.
Yeah, oftentimes purpose is birthed in pain.
Yeah. So I stayed active a lot. Like I said, I was always, because there was nobody at home a lot, I just tried to stay busy. So whether that was the Boys and Girls Club, whether that was after school, sports, whatever it was, just trying to stay involved to keep them people around me, keep it social. I would say, like, when I matriculated into high school, you know, we had the negative influences come in about young boys attempting to be men at that particular time. So we were trying to carve our niche as young men. So got into some wayward stuff. I even had, I think the most I've ever sweat was probably my junior year in high school, when I had my name on the docket. I was in the criminal court. My name was on the docket, and I had like a felony charge like right beside my name. And I was sitting just waiting for my name to be called. And I think I've never sweat more in that courtroom waiting for my name to be called. Luckily, it was a lawyer that called me first. And he was like, we got everything worked out. We're going to sign these papers. You're going to go home. Like, phew. So I didn't have to go up in front of the judge or anything like that. But that kind of let me know, like, this ain't nothing to play with. Like, one wrong move and you could be over to the left and you could be there for a minute. So that kind of made me want to say, like, okay, what do I want to get out of life, and start to think about more so what the future looked like. Because before then, I think I was kind of like a day-to-day type of person. If you would have asked me, what you think about doing in the next 3 weeks, I probably couldn't think it out that far. You know, let alone talking about 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plans.
Let's talk more about that too.
Okay.
I really would love to hear, how you even got into teaching. But we're going to take a short break. For those that are listening in, we're right here at the FAB LAB at North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride, Bro Code. We'll be right back.
Since I never had a shot, God threw me the alley hoop. I believe I can fly. Let me mingle with the angels. Heaven's in my peripheral. I see it from my...
We'll be right back on the Bro Code Show after a brief word from our sponsors. We all we got.
We always say that hope plus options equals success. When there's a lack of hope, oftentimes gravitate towards unfavorable decisions. When we can provide hope plus options, our children will ultimately be better. Through love, consistency, opportunity, and exposure, that's how we really touch these kids. That's how we empower them. That's how we inspire them, and that's how we encourage them. And that's what we do well here at Y4C.
There's a reason why I'm rapping. Hold on, wait a second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, yeah, showing off. Yeah, I promise you never took a loss. If I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all. Wait a second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, I ain't showing it all. You can tell it, you never took a loss. If I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all.
Report to the dance floor. Report to the dance floor.
We're back on the Bro Code Show. We're right here at North Carolina Central with my man Eric Saliim.
Appreciate
Eric,
you.
I'm curious, man. So we talked a little bit about your childhood, and talk to us now about how teaching became part of you working towards your purpose, right? And then walk us through how you went from Neal Middle School to now here at Central.
Got to. Good question. So teaching kind of came about in an odd way. So like I just have a nice affinity for biology, a nice affinity for science. So I don't necessarily say what I do is teaching, although that's the profession. Like, I'm just sharing my love of a subject with you. And hope that you can kind of share in that with me as I discuss it. But So again, like I said, I started doing bench work, dosing cells and animals with these drugs and looking at the different effects.
Yeah.
After a while, like I said, just coming in, which was eventually harvesting, killing rats just to see what type of organ or tissue the drugs kind of affected, made me want to look for something different. And looking for something different, I had put in my resignation at NIEHS, thinking I would have something in line, particularly on the heels of me offering the service to Central, and there was some talk like, okay, it might be a position for you, da 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 da. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with it. So I went with it, and the position didn't come through. Position didn't come through. But I had a friend of mine, Rod Till, who was working as a principal at Neal Middle School at the time, and he needed science teachers because he didn't have any science teachers. So I was in between, so I called him and was like, you still got that spot? He was like, yeah, come on down. And they had a lateral entry program where you could serve as a teacher without having your educational credentials, degrees or whatever. So that's where I started. You know, I call it feet on the coals and teaching by going into Neal Middle School.
7th grade, right?
Yeah, 7th grade.
Did you stick with that the whole?
I stuck with 7th grade the whole while. So shout out to the kids from Oxford Manor, Few Gardens, all of the Hoover Road.
Let them know where that's at. Where are these places at?
This is Durham, North Carolina.
Okay,
all
let
these
them know
places
now.
in
Bull City, stand
yeah,
up.
Yeah, this is Bull City. Hoover Road, like they all gave me an education in teaching.
So wait a minute. So you know, middle school, that's a little different.
Oh yeah, middle school.
7th grade too, right in the middle of middle school, right?
Middle school is like I said, they gave me a good education.
Yeah.
They gave me a good education, but coming out of there, I thought I was ready to teach anybody.
So talk to us now how we're at Neal Middle School. You're working with the 7th graders. It's fair exchange, no rivalry. They're giving you energy and you giving them energy.
Right.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
And so
it's a good way to describe it.
That's good.
we do this. Like, this
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now that bridge now, like how are we getting towards Central now? Like how is that starting? How does that picture starting to come to life?
So I'm on this lateral entry program, and lateral entry has it you only given a short duration. I can't remember the time span. Maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 3 years, but you have to get your education degree within that time period. So I was having an issue with that. Like, man, I got a science degree. Why I need education? I'm already teaching. But anyway, my timing was coming up. My timing was coming up. So at the time, again, my timing coming up, I need something. So I turned back to Central again to say, like, yeah, I got that opening.
Right.
And luckily they was like, yeah, we got it. We got that opening for you. So I just transitioned from that. I think I left Neal in like December, and I transitioned into Central in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What you got, Ruth?
So first, I don't want to skip over you attending the same college.
Yes.
You never really talked about from maybe high school. How did you get to Central? What was that like?
That's a crazy story. So again, like I said, I'm not planning. I don't even know what I was thinking half the time. But I had a great friend of mine, Rico Porter. Rico Porter came to me one day and he said, we're going on a college tour. You should go with us.
Wow.
He said, you should go with us. And I said, sure, I'll go. And I went to the college tour. I think we did Shaw, we did NC State, we did Chapel Hill. The last stop on the tour was Central. I don't know what, it was a football game that night. I'm not sure. It was so festive. I want to think it was like a homecoming.
Yeah.
But we came in the stadium, HBCU football, the band is going, the crowd is going. Like, I was just caught up in that, and I was like, man, if this what school is like,
I'll take it.
I'm coming in.
Let me sign up.
Because every other place we went, it was kind of like, y'all come in, have a seat. These people gonna talk with y'all.
There you go.
And people talk, and they talk, and then we walk out. And then let's get back on the bus. We go another. We look at buildings. Then more people talk.
Yeah.
When we came to Central, it was really like student type experience. Like, this is what it'd be like to be a student. So after that trip, when I went back, I talked to my guidance counselor. Like, I got my school I want to go to. fill out one application. That was a Central.
Yeah.
And they accepted me.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for Rico Porter, I don't know, where it might be at this particular day.
Wow.
With him inviting me on that trip.
That's good stuff.
But yeah, good guy, man.
Yeah.
And so speak to the HBCU experience, because okay, you felt that at the football game, but then you went here. I'm assuming it matched.
Oh yeah, phenomenal experience, man. Phenomenal, from the professors to the people that I met who are now my lifelong friends, man. It's been a phenomenal ride, I would say, what Central offered. My professors, I would say, they held us up to a sharp standard, a high standard.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, you know, we in the Research Triangle Park with all of these universities.
Right.
You are on a par with all of them.
That's right.
You know, I'm gonna be sure when you walk out, you don't have to hold your head down at all.
Yeah.
So like I said, those guys, oh man, I owe a lot of gratitude for them developing me as a student, researcher, and as a scientist. The friends, oh man, they exposed me to so much. Like I came up small town, isolated, so to speak. Like even in my house, like you couldn't listen to nothing if it wasn't Shirley Caesar, James Cleveland, you know, the Clark sisters. But so, you know, they exposed me to a lot of different things, music, different ways, different ideologies, just how to deal with different personalities. Like it was a great growing. And then I got to share with a lot of other guys who were like in similar situations to me. Like, you know, single parent, like, oh, we made men. That's what we were calling ourselves. Like, we are making ourselves into men. Like, so that was really important. Me coming together with men or young men with a drive and an ambition to kind of push me and lead me into ways I want to be a better person. And not only a better person, but to kind of pull some people along with me as I go. So yeah, shout out to those young men and keeping me on a standard. Like, okay, we're not going partying 3-4 nights in a row. Like, you forgot we here to study. Like, you know, you got that test, what you doing? So they were sharp, so they held me to a standard. So I appreciate them for help kind of rounding me out as a person.
I love it. A sense of accountability. We all need that too. Right? Accountability partners to keep us on even keel. Let's tap dance a little bit more in that experience, and I want you to tie in. You know, we're in the month of June, so we got Father's Day. We also got Juneteenth.
Okay.
So let's talk about that a little bit more as you're coming into your identity as a man. Here it is. You're in the rural area, and then all of a sudden you come to this lively HBCU.
Yes.
I mean, you got some of everything rolling through here. You got an exposure to a whole lot. So talk to about what does that identity look like as you're coming into your blackness or your fullness and that sense of pride?
It's ironic you mentioned that, because if it wasn't for Central, I don't think I would have the amount of blackness that I do have. You know what I'm saying? I would have had the little sprinkle of blackness that you kind of get around black history. You know, the Martin Luther Kings, you know, that civil rights type struggle. Like I would have just knew that story. But coming to Central, having people like Ivan Van Sertima come through, Yosef Ben Yaka come through, Francis Cress Wilson come through. Like these were like authors and different writers of different books, from Afrocentricity, for the Out of Africa movement, where it was like, you know, black people out of Africa and the richness in Africa in terms of the ideology, the philosophies, the sciences, the maths. Like I had no idea about any of that. But coming to Central, they had all these lecturers coming through, like it blew my mind that we came from something other than slavery was just totally mind-blowing.
So it's probably a huge sense of pride.
Yes,
right?
Yes, exactly.
No, I'm worth something.
Exactly.
I come from something.
Exactly. So Central did that. Like without Central, I wouldn't have that. Like I would go home and be like, yo, guess what? I learned this, and be like, oh, come on, there's too much of that. There's too much of that black talk. You know, I was borderline Malcolm X, they thought, but I was just conveying to them the information, the history that I was learning, and it wasn't really that I was going to be a Nation of Islam member, a fruit of Islam, but it was just the information had kind of like energized me, and I wanted to kind of share that energy. But you know, like I said, my folks, they kind of viewed that as, this boy done got up there and he took his mind.
Yeah. He brand new.
They took his mind. Exactly.
And all of us should work towards some type of evolving. Being a better person. Right? And to hear you talk, right? Support was lacked in your early childhood, right? And here you now come into your fullness as a man, and you have people around you to hold you accountable.
Right.
And because of that, now the exposure that you gained was well received.
Right.
Right. And now you're a learned brother. Like, I admire that. And I think that's something that we should all seek towards and push towards, being a better person. So, and also speaks to the HBCU experience. It really does. Outside of the football field and outside of the rah-rah, we're going to have a lot of fun. But there's a richness in history. There's a richness in learning. And we always tell the kids, especially those that we mentor with YN4C, always seek to be a forever learner. There's always something else. Right. Be a sponge. Right? And soak that up. So it's really good to hear. I'd love for you now to kind of tie a little bit more into the work that's done here at the FAB Lab. So now you've went from Neo Middle, you have went to Central, come back, and now teach at Central. So what's the richness in the work that's being done in this 25 by 20 space?
Good question. So I'm gonna answer it by taking a step back. So again, I'm in science. So a lot of what I get in science is hard. Like, I can't do it. Like, a lot of students start already defeated. So one of the things that I kind of like to do in teaching science is to kind of make them feel like it's open to them, and the information in science, you can grasp it because you do it every day. So it's not something that you're learning outside of yourself, because you're learning about yourself. So in doing that, I try to come up with unique ways to kind of teach the subject, because I think it's fun. And I think it's more than just a PowerPoint. So I'm always trying to think of some type of activity or something to engage my student. So because of that, I was titled Innovative Instructor. And that title, by the agency that gave it to me, which was the Chronicles of Higher Education, which I didn't know was a document that all university administrators read. It's like it's something that they should be reading. So in reading that, you know, my administrators reading it, they saw I'm in it. So like the phone is ringing. So phone starts ringing. There are a lot of these initiatives that are coming to campus that they don't really know like how they fit or where they fit. So they started to involve me in these steering committees. One of the steering committees I was on was for the FAB Lab. So we flew to Massachusetts, which I fell in love with, to view the real FAB Lab, the first one. Phenomenal space. I learned that their education is not about testing. Their education is about inventing something, creating something.
Critical thinking.
That's a whole addressing problems.
Solving problems.
So when they finish a course, they basically have a business, a model, a prototype already.
Plan.
Exactly. So they just have to put the rest of the energy into like marketing and promote it. So I'm looking at all of these students, graduates, and they coming back with checks.
Ownership, baby. I love
3 million, 5 million, because their business has generated this money and they're giving it back to the school. And I'm like, bruh, that's education right there. Like, so I want to get that back to Durham as quick as I can. So that's how it started. I seen it, and I'm like, I gotta do it. And I've been rolling there since.
I love it. We are right here at the FAB Lab at North Carolina Central University. I'm Bro Troy. We are the Bro Code. We'll be right back.
Since I never had a shot, God threw me the alley-oop. I believe I can fly. Let me mingle with the angels. Heaven's in my periphery.
We'll be right back on the Bro Code Show after a brief word from our sponsors. We all we got. The Bros just got stronger. We've added a new member to the team, Ruth Proctor. The blonde bombshell herself will be hosting this new segment called the Proctor Report. This segment will share behind-the-scenes footage and engage questions from our listeners from a female point of view. Tap in to the Bro Code.
Tonight, I'm here with Eric Saliim, part of the Bro Code, with the Ruth Proctor Report. We'll be here every week, so look forward to seeing me here with the Bro Code, and we are going to go take a look at the FAB LAB. So what is a typical day here in the FAB LAB?
Typical day in the FAB LAB are a lot of requests for different types of design.
Okay.
So since we're back here, it looks kind of crazy right now, but this is a stencil that a couple of art students put together. They're actually making a print. So this was one of our test runs on it, just to see how this paper could hold up. And as you see, the paper didn't hold up too well.
Wow.
But this is just one of the things that happen. So an idea comes in.
Okay.
So we either process that idea, like let us know the dimensions, size, things like that. If it's not that, it's us working on a project that has already come in the lab.
Love it.
Yeah, so that could be it. It could be training.
Okay.
Like every day in the lab is different.
Right.
So it's always a new experience.
Right.
So one thing I like about the FAB Lab is that every day is not the same.
Got you.
Yes.
And me being a fellow fellow Eagle, you know, this was not here when I was here. I graduated in 05, 09. And so what do fellow alumni have to look forward to? Like, how can they support this cause? How can they support the FAB Lab?
So one of the things we're trying to do in the FAB Lab is give our students skills on the machines. There's both hardware and software.
Okay.
So you can, if you got a project, like we have some alumni who are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
They might need some marketing and promotional
I need his
materials.
help. Okay, I need his
So
help.
you might be able to come in and get some stickers or some signages.
Okay.
Some of our alumni in the jewelry.
Okay.
So I have some metal cutters and things like that you may be able to cut some things to
Y'all
offer
better holler at the FAB Lab.
some trinkets, or it just might be an entrepreneur that needs a prototype.
Okay.
You need to help develop. You know, that might be web page development. It might be something with circuits.
Wow.
Like we say, we can do almost anything. So if you can think about it, come to the FAB Lab, and we try to help you.
Yes, y'all better holler at the FAB Lab. You can dream it, he can create it. Okay.
Yes.
So when it comes to the day to day, I know we talked a little bit about what's going on, but what is the typical day for a student here in the FAB Lab?
Typical day for a student. So that really depends on the individual student.
Okay.
So let's say you are a student and you are into electronics. So I have a student that wants to create what he's calling an Overwatch.
Okay.
So we have these blue light stations that are on campus that if you press them, this little light shows and security can tell you where you're located. So he wants to create a button where you click it.
Okay.
It's on a bracelet. You click it, and that sends a signal to the public safety office.
Wow.
So something that he just recently did for me was this thing. This is my ADT home security. So this is my camera. Right now, when I pulled the internet out, but it's hooked into the internet. It senses motion. So anytime the camera senses motion, it starts to record.
Okay.
And it sends that video recording to a Google Drive. And then that sends a notification on my phone that it has just recorded video in the lab, which lets me know we had some motion.
I love it.
So he's trying to build off of that to create, again, the device that students can wear on their wrist.
Wow.
That they can press the buttons to let security know that they're in trouble.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. And this is my alma mater, being a Central alumni, this is amazing to come back and see how much Central has grown, to see what the students have and what the school has to offer the students now.
Yes.
This wasn't here. So this is amazing and super dope. So let everybody know how the Bro Code and Ruth Proctor can support the Fab Lab, and how alumni can support the Fab Lab. So what information can you give us to let people know how they can support, how they can get in contact with you?
We are probably at NCCU Fab Lab
Yes.
across all of the platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. One of my students just started a TikTok.
Okay.
We are on TikTok at NCCU Fab. I think it's TikTok.
Okay.
But if you want to reach me, I am at ESALIIM, and that is at nccu.edu. That's ESALIIM at nccu.edu. Alumni, we'll be happy to bring you into space, even if it is just you got a creative idea, like I'm going to show it. I don't know if y'all remember, like back in the 70s, people used to have these forks and spoons and things hanging on the wall. So individual wanted to create something similar, but they wanted to do it out of Afro picks. So this is a mock of an image that we're going to do for them to create it large so they can hang on the wall. So it could be something just as simple as this that we could kind of help you out with.
Love it, love it. And Ruth Proctor is all about being an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur,
Yes,
author.
we love
so definitely want to
entrepreneurs.
make sure that we continue to support, small businesses, small entrepreneurship, and supporting NCCU as alumni and as a fellow Eagle.
Wonderful. We can do this poster too.
Yes, exactly. He can upgrade me, okay?
Yeah, we can do that poster too.
This is Ruth Proctor with the Proctor Report here at the Fab Lab, NCCU, Eagles.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I just want the kingdom naked, keep the enterprise. Everything we got is rented. Close the casket, nothing's in it. I just got the Tesla tinted. I can't take it to the
Put in work, put in work, put in work, put in work, put in work.
We're back on the Bro Code Show. Got my man Eric Saliim right here at North Carolina Central University, Durham, North Carolina, Bull City Stand Up. So Eric, I'm curious, man, before the break we were talking a little bit more about the HBCU experience, but more so about how the Fab Lab is making an imprint for entrepreneurship and all things critical thinking. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and walk us through. In 2014, you went up to MIT, you see this blueprint, and you're like, hey, I love this blueprint. I got to take this back to the kids in Durham and the students that we support there so this can be duplicated. Here we are 5 years later after seeing that. Talk to about the impact. What has come out of it? What has been birthed since then?
Wow. Lots, I would say lots. One of the things that's kind of been birthed out of the Fab Lab is, how would I say, trying to connect education to a purpose. So a lot of times, at least here, a lot of students just feel like the education is primarily knowledge-based to complete an assessment. Like that's as far as the information is utilized. Like the information is not really utilized as the information is not utilized as a tool to deal with certain problems that we're facing. So when they're learning, they don't really take a dive into the subject beyond just rote memorization. They're not making connections to other things, which is why I like the Fab Lab. Because in the Fab Lab, I'm taking creativity and putting it into whatever subject matter that you may necessarily have a liking to or you may be studying. But now I want you to think not necessarily for information on a test. I want you to now think like, how can you utilize that information to address a thing or to make a thing or to innovate something? So it kind of switches the dynamic. So what I find in that, which is something that that I'm seeing, which has occurred over these 5 years, is that now I'm starting to get students to kind of think creatively in their subject matter and not necessarily think about taking a test.
So they have to pass the test. That's a must.
Right.
But also, how can I apply this skill set or this critical thinking to create outside of my college experience and create a lifestyle of ownership?
Wow. Yes, because I think if they actually do that with the information, they would take ownership with the information and then can dive deeper into the information. Because a lot of times they look at it kind of standoffish, like the information is over there. I just want to take it and I'm gonna give it back to you. Like, no, don't give it back to me. Like, it's yours. And what are you gonna do with it? So that's why I don't like tests. Like, if you're in my class, like, I'm not having multiple choice tests and things like that. Like, my tests are kind of short answer. Here's a problem. I need you to take the information I just gave you and try to solve this problem.
That's it.
So the students really don't like me because they're like, how am I going to study for this? I'm like, you really can't. You can't cheat for it either. And that kind of throws them off too because they like to Google a lot and put it in the search engine.
You're challenging them.
Yes.
And really critical thinking is what the world is missing.
Yes.
So you're challenging them with perspective, right? Because you're used to doing it this way.
Yes.
In society, family, and just generationally, magazines, movies, music has said this is the way to do it. So exposing them and using the left side of their brain, right? And it's full, or the right
the creative side.
There you go, using the right side of their brain. And the fullness is something often most people and adults never tap into.
No.
They never do. So I think that's very interesting. It really is, because those skills are applied not just to what they're doing currently, but just in life, period. Right. All over life, period. And I always say money is an idea. You keep having ideas,
Right.
you won't keep making money.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the kind of thing that we're dealing with in higher education. With technology, students are now seeing that I can make money and not do these traditional pathways that my parents had to.
That's right.
Like, if I just build my content, like I can make it that way. So now we're trying to figure out a way, like, how do we get them back into the schools?
So once you expose them,
to make it valuable.
Because education is it's the structure part.
Right. Like, how do we do that? And I'm like, this might be the way, like adding the creativity to allow them to put that into the subject matter.
That's right.
Maybe what helps you. Because if you still are saying, like, I'm gonna tell you this information that I want you to learn, like, they're not feeling that anymore.
That's right.
Like, that model has been outdated. It's been outdated. So now we're dealing with a little bit more savvy student who can go and Google whatever they want to Google. They can go to YouTube University and that can come to your class and be an expert sitting there looking at you babble on some stuff that's outdated.
Right. That's right.
Which is another reason why I'm like, we got to come out the textbooks.
The books are outdated.
Because they're outdated.
totally outdated.
Yeah, and the way the tech is moving, we might be 10, 20 years behind and be outpaced. Because it's moving so fast. So we're dealing with, like, real world type applications, which is why I like the tech space. Because it's a real world application.
I love it. So talk to us more about that creativity that has created a synergy now where students at Central here in the Fab Lab are challenged mentally, they're stretched, right? They're uncomfortable, which is a space that most of us don't want to travel in there. Some of the greatest ideas, some of the enterprises were birthed out of being uncomfortable.
Right.
So how has is there anything specific? So now these kids are uncomfortable, these students are uncomfortable. Some of them have applied themselves to make some things happen.
Yes.
You know, talk to us about that. You know, what actual businesses, ownership, entrepreneurship has been birthed out of the Fab Lab that you could speak to?
So I will say I'm gonna kind of go at another route, and I'm gonna try to come back to it. So one of the things that is also changing as a result of the Fab Lab is the intellectual properties that go along with the creations that happen in this space. So the way it is structured now, it kind of stifles it, because if it's created here, the university gets a large portion of whatever that product is. And even that portion is further divided, because you got schools, you got departments, you got classes, and all of those people get their cut before the actual inventor kind of gets their cut. So we're now trying to start this discussion of what does another policy look like that can kind of foster or favor innovation, where a student will feel comfortable in saying, I'm gonna offer this to the university because I'm gonna get my fair share, rather than saying, like, I'm gonna take this and go develop it somewhere else where I can get a better cut of the percentage.
Never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
You think about the athletes now and what has changed with NCAA. Why should that be any different?
Right.
Because that's your brand, that's your personal ideas. I love it, man.
Yeah, so we've had lots of students come into the lab with different prototype ideas that we've kind of helped them flushed out. But because of intellectual property, the way it is at Central, it kind of stifles and kind of sits in my hand as blueprint, sketches, source code, those types of things.
Yeah.
So we had a student that was from Africa, who is from Kenya. His family is in agriculture, and they have a thing with water and conserving water.
Okay.
And when to water the fields and when not to water the fields as a means to save water, save money. So he created an app, and what this app did was alert the farmer as to when the farm should be watered. So he did it with sensors that you would put in the soil.
Yeah.
The sensors sense humidity, and based on the settings that he sets for his sensors, when it hits a certain threshold, it will alert him to say, like, okay, now it's time for you to water your crops. And then he could turn it on, and then once it reaches the saturation that he set, then he could turn it off. And the guy designed the app so that could be done remotely. So the app would tell him the amount the soil is saturated, and then it also allowed him to turn on or off his sprinklers from the app.
Awesome. I love it.
So he developed that. So then we had a thing with parking. So parking, so what I do, like I'm in different meetings and things like that, and people tell me problems that they have. So I come with their problems and I give them to students. I'm like, look, this is the problem. Like, how can y'all deal with this problem? So this is a problem I gave to a bunch of business students. They have a capstone course. They needed a capstone project. So they took on my project, which was parking's problem of they needed a way to inform commuters of where the parking spaces were available in the parking decks.
That's great.
So they created a system that uses cameras, and the camera would view a parking space, and whatever the code that they put in, it would know if it was a car in that parking space or not based on the image that it sees. And then it would do these calculations, and it would spit out how many parking spaces are available in a particular deck. And they had the program set where you could turn on and turn off spaces if you want to make them reserved, or if you had like people coming in and you wanted to block these spaces off. So they made the whole thing down from the cameras to the software that would run the system. And we gave it to parking, like, hey, here's the solution to your problem. And they were like, you know what? We don't have a budget for that just yet. But like I'm thinking, like, y'all didn't think we were gonna come back with something, did you? Like, you didn't think we were gonna do it. But
sleeping on
exactly. But they came back with the full outlay. So again, I'm saying, like, okay, when y'all get the budget, here's the plan. You know, I'm still pushing. But you know, again, it came up with all the intellectual properties. I just mentioned the Overwatch, where a guy wants to create a bracelet that a student could wear on their arm, that there's 2 buttons that they could press. Those 2 buttons would then send an alert signal to our public safety, kind of shows up on the map as a blip, so they can know to respond. A feature that they thought about doing, if they could do it, was to have like some type of communication open. So you hit it, so it's like you call 911, you can kind of say, like, I'm in trouble, they whatever doing. But they would still have that location as far as a GPS to know where you are in the vicinity of the campus, so they know how to respond. And they had it coded where if more and more people press it, like the blip gets bigger, so that you know you have a mass response. So you probably want to respond different than if it's like a little dot. So that's a nice system that is kind of also kind of on the shelf as we wait to solve the intellectual property issue. And there's been lots, man, apps around mental health. You know, there's a lot of stuff around AR, VR experiences. There's a person that wants to create a Haiti experience where you can kind of like walk down the street, but you can like put on these goggles and it will overimpose on what you currently see with what Haiti look like.
VR.
Yeah.
Wow.
VR, AR experience. So there's like lots of things.
Wow. That's
Lots
dope.
of things.
What you got, bro?
So,
Wow.
so we're sitting in Durham, and Durham has a rich culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Black Wall Street.
Yes.
How does that show up? Does that show up in the lab? I mean, is that?
Oh yeah, it has to. Like we definitely embrace that. Like on the wall is Haiti. Like we embrace that. I call it like the rebirth of the maker is what I call it. The rebirth of the maker. So Haiti, we kind of took the reins ourselves and said like we are going to be the producers and the providers for our own communities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of want us to do the same thing, but with technology.
Yeah.
You know, they had the different tools, but we got new tools.
Yeah.
But I want them to do the same thing. Like we got to create for ourselves, utilizing these tools and technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that, in 2020, you were awarded by, I think, Inspiring Diverse Magazine, right? For
Yes.
your Fab Lab. How did that come about?
So that came about with some of our community stuff.
Okay.
So one of the things that's unfortunately I hear in Durham is that Central is not really engaged with the community as it could be. So we go to different places. So they like, oh, we see Duke, we see Caroline, we even see NC State. Like like we rarely see NC Central. So I kind of took it upon myself to adopt the Fayetteville Street corridor, which is Hayti. So in my corridor are a couple of community housing communities. So I got Cornwallis, I got McDougal Terrace, I got Liberty Street, I got all of these communities, but they don't interact with Central at all. So I know at least when I came through school, it was us and the Durhamites. It was like us versus the Durhamites. So we were kind of separate. So trying to like get away with some of that. So I kind of show up in these communities and try to share what we do in the Fab Lab, not only in terms of history, like we are you, you are us, but also in terms of what the future might look like and how I can propel them, hopefully to kind of change some of the dynamics they're currently experiencing through technology.
I love it. I love it. So talk to us. What's next for the Fab Lab? And finish it up with what's next for you. Like as you're growing as a man, as you're growing as a supporter.
Right.
Really evolving, man. This whole conversation was all about that. Wrap us up with that, man. So what's next for Saliim?
Man, that's phenomenal.
Eric, and also what's next for the Fab Lab?
Saliim is gonna get out of here, man. He's got to go to. I'm thinking Nairobi, Kenya is probably where I go. I'm probably giving it maybe 5-10 years. So in doing the Fab Lab work, man, I'm saying it's been a blessing to me because I meet such influential people such as yourself. But there's an initiative going on now in Kenya where they are trying to basically get their country up to speed in terms of technology. So there's a lot of money going into Kenya to try to build an infrastructure to build this tech city, so to speak. So I've talked with several people that are on like the building up of that type of thing. So they're gonna need some people to kind of come in that can kind of share with Africa like the capabilities of all of the stuff that they're gonna be doing. I think like, bro, I'm a great candidate for that. To kind of get me a nice little spot in Kenya and spend my days walking around the savannas. And playing with 3D printers at the end of the day or something like that.
Whatever you do, don't forget about the bro code, man.
Road trip?
Yes.
That's more than destination trip, man.
But that's me, still kind of doing the same thing, still in service to my people, and trying to share with them the genius that they have and giving them the tools to kind of bring that out. That's for me. Fab Lab, I would like for the Fab Lab to be what I know it is. And it's a space where our students can take their genius and learn to express it and then share that with us, whatever that may be. If it's something artistic they've done, something electronic that they've done, whatever that may be, just share that with us. Because I believe like we all are here for that purpose. It's just a lot of times we don't find it due to all of the fog and confusion that this world kind of throws out at us.
And more so people like yourself.
Right?
If the same way you called out those names earlier that kept you and exposed you and supported you, you've now developed into that person. you become that person to someone else.
Wow.
And really, that's the breadcrumbs about it. You know, at the end of the day, we were made to be a support system for others. We didn't come in this world by ourselves. Right? So, I love it, man, the whole conversation. But we've asked you a lot of questions.
Gotcha.
Now we got another script. This one's called Flip the Script.
Flipping it.
Excuse me. So we're going to flip the script real quick.
Flipping it.
And then flip the script now. It's your turn, bro. You can ask us anything you like, either individually or collectively.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna go collectively. So my first question is about the bro code. Who established the bro code? And give me, I guess, the top 3 tenets of the bro code.
Okay, so 2020 hit, March 11th, 2020 hit, it changed the world for everyone. This was a back burner type of thing. We travel well in the spaces that we do in service in the community, but we always talk about a voice. And one of the things that we wanted to connect is our why. You see the work that we do, but you may not know I used to weigh 475 pounds, traveled to 5 of the 7 continents, met my wife in the sales business. You don't know that about me because that's not part of the image that's often shown. You just see us with youth in most cases. So we wanted to, one, tell that story, but control the narrative.
Okay.
And that was the biggest part of it. So, hey man, let's start our own thing. You could do a whole lot of things with other people, but the bro code is the name of the show, but it's a lifestyle of what we live. Like we do this. We are bros. We're here for each other. We are our brother's keeper. So 3 tenets, the code, the community, and the voice. Those are the 3 cornerstones, the 3 main cornerstones of our show. Right? The code is the bro code, how we treat ourselves and others. The community is something that we were born to do, man. We were made to give back. And that thing that you talk about in purpose, that's a huge part of my life.
Okay.
Right? And finding that, I found my why, right? Why I walk on earth and leaving that thumbprint on it. And then the voice, that's just important, right? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Right.
And really being able to say, speak up when it's time to, right, wrong, indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, and be able to share that and give a platform for others to do the same.
Okay. So, and then my next question is, being that you're out in the public, communicating, have this platform, what do you feel like your responsibility is to yourself and your community in that role?
Yeah. So one thing that I want to add to the story is, people think that we say bro code and it's just 3 men. It's not. First of all, we have a team. But secondly, we're inclusive to women too. So it's not just the bro code, it's a lifestyle of community, which is huge, right? But I think the lifestyle that we do is authentic. Do we talk about, especially as black men, we talk about being authentic and vulnerable. And so not just that we're on here talking, but we want our lifestyle. I don't want to have a public persona that's successful, but my private life not be aligned. So we really move the way we move. And if you see us in public or you see us in private, you should see the same person.
Right.
We're the same way. And what that does is that helps other young men see that that's possible. So we don't, you don't
and it's okay.
It's okay. Like, we don't got a code switch. You don't got to be yourself.
Right.
But one of the things we want to center on is storytelling. Allowing guests like yourself who are doing amazing things, but sometimes just never get the opportunity to get to shine, right? To hear your story and let other people see how powerful that is and live their truths. And so we're all creators. You talked about that.
Right.
We're all creators with so much. And you don't have to, now you're here at NCCU, but you just mentioned, I already got a plan to go to Kenya. So I can have 3 or 4 careers. So I'm going to be doing just one thing.
Right.
We want people to be able to share those stories.
What was the question that you just asked, just to make sure I get that one?
This is about your responsibility in being a public figure.
Me personally, it's a mantle thing.
Okay.
Like it chose me, really did, man. I never thought I'd be doing this work, bro. There's nowhere in the world you can tell me I'd be doing this. Not from my lived experience, you know. But what the lived experience equipped me, right? With love and kindness have I drawn thee. I read that somewhere, and for me, that's played such a huge role in my life because there was someone there to support me that saw me in my rawness, but saw past that. Like, man, there's something more in that kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? That kid's got something, and I can honestly say, along my life, even into adulthood, I had people in my life to do that for me and to speak positives in my life, to speak life into me that you can. And for me, you know, it's a fulfillment thing. Like it doesn't always. It's thankless work, but it's fulfilling work. Let me not get into this to be put on a pedestal, right? You know, but it hits a little different. You got a kid to say, you know, man, because you stood in the cold with me and talked to me for 2 hours, man, it changed my life. You know, and that's what was missing in my own life, right? You know, so as the young people say, it hits a little different, man. It's a fulfilling thing. My grandfather always said it feels good to do good, and that's indeed true.
Wonderful. I got another one. Y'all talked about storytelling. So do you see the Bro Code going into, you know, short, limited series, movies, documentaries, while you're doing the storytelling?
That's a great question. We sit down and talk a lot about vision. But we have this word that's just big, right? We love being in Raleigh, Durham, the triangle, because I think everything we need to do could be centered right here. However, we see it, everything you just mentioned, we see all that.
Wonderful.
And the best part is, like you said, we're big on partnerships. So we're okay with collaborating with other people to get there.
Right.
And that's how we see it. And it's not that it's not going to happen. It's just when.
Right.
Stronger together, right? Fist, not a finger. These are all things. Many hands make light work. These are all words, phrases that we use common. The work that we do in the community has thrived, continued, and been built on that. Like having vision and then putting the pieces of the puzzle to make that together, to create that collab and that strategic collaboration, right? Because everything's not for everybody, but if you put the right pieces of the puzzle, man, there's nothing great that can't happen. So to your point, yes, absolutely. We're always having conversations about docuseries, and the importance of the partnerships is to be able to get with organizations and communities that want to tell that story, that are looking for a platform that they feel comfortable having conversations, and then being able to provide that as a service. So absolutely, man, we look forward to it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was trying to think if I had any more questions, but I don't.
Okay, well, we got another segment, brother. Okay, so we'll keep this thing moving, baby.
Keep it moving.
We're going to come right back. The next segment you'll see is right here at the FAB LAB on the Bro Code Show. We'll be right back.
So I had a shot, God threw me the alley hoop. I believe I can fly. Let me mingle with the angels. Heaven's in my peripheral. I see it from my.
We'll be right back on the Bro Code Show after a brief word from our sponsors. We all we got. The Bro Code TV show was created to amplify the voices of others and share courageous stories of community leaders, organizations, and businesses that are doing great things. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., you can catch Bro Troy, Bro Kurt, and Bro Smith for another courageous conversation. You can find those conversations on our YouTube channel at Bro Code TV Productions, and also our audio podcast channels, which are on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts at The Bro Code Show. Tap in to the Bro Code experience. We all we got. We're back on the Bro Code Show. Now, Eric, we got a couple more segments. This one right here is called the picture segment.
Picture, gotcha.
Yeah, man, we did a little bit of research.
Okay.
Now, we went on a few social media sites. We picked out 2 or 3 pictures that kind of captured who we thought you were. Like they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, Eric, I don't need 1,000. Okay. But we do want you to say who's in the picture. Just a few. There you go.
I can do it.
A couple, few, you know how that go. 2
yes, sir.
So we want you to know who's in the picture. Tell us who's in the picture, what you were doing.
What I was doing.
And why you shared it with the world. We're going to start with this one.
Got you. Okay, so that is definitely me. I don't know where these girls are from. I know they're from Durham. I'm not sure if they are Girl Scouts, if they're with Audacity Labs, or who they may be with. But they were a girl group. They were coming to tour the FAB LAB.
Okay.
And I was showing them some of the capabilities of the FAB LAB. And that was one of the 3D printed pieces I was sharing with them.
You don't by chance remember what the piece was? Like, were these girls coming in because they were concerned or curious about IT or maybe potentially coming to Central?
No. So, like I said, if I recall the group correctly, it was a group that was just wanting some type of engagement, some hands-on engagement, and I was picked to be the one to engage them.
Okay. All right. I can dig it. All right. Well, tell us about this one right here.
I want to say they got the Rook It's a rook.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was
Made
a
one.
rook.
Okay.
3D printed
I can
rook.
dig that. I can dig that. How about this one right here?
Okay, so that was at Hayti actually. That was at Hayti. That was at a program called STEM Day. And that was where a bunch of us from North Carolina Central University, so it was us, the FAB LAB, it was Department of Biology, I think chemistry went. And it was a kind of like a free sign up register. And that was my first group.
Okay.
And I was showing them how they could take a drawing and add music to it. So that's me playing my drawing.
Wow.
Wow.
That
was my first. That was my morning group.
How old were these kids? You remember? Middle school?
I think they were like late elementary, so maybe like 4th, 5th, something like that.
They look so engaged, man.
Yeah, that's why it was a great
day.
picture.
Yeah.
It was a great picture.
It was. That's why I picked that one.
But yeah, they couldn't like, bro, why is that making music?
Yeah.
And I was talking about the circuitry and how you can hook things up.
Yeah. I'm sure that hit a little different for them, especially
Yeah.
tying music into it. Yeah, for a kid, you can tell it from the picture.
Yeah.
Last one,
Hey,
man. Tell us
Ty.
about that one.
Oh, wow, that's my original team right there. Oh, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Showing up. So that's me, that's Natalie, Sarah, Nick, Jared, Dayquil, and Sam.
Wow.
And this was all of us. We were about to go to DC. And that was us in the airport. They had just started, what was that thing called? The HBCU something. And we had to go and make a pitch.
Yeah.
And it was us, Morehouse, and some other ones. But yeah, that was my pitch team.
Yeah.
And that was the picture we took before we flew out.
That's pretty awesome. Now that you say that, I kind of think about it. Yeah, you had just started here.
Yeah.
That was 2015. Now it also made me think you just graduated your first class. So any kids that came that were freshmen when you came here just recently graduated.
Yeah, it was crazy, right?
Yeah, wow. And when you think about that, I was like, yeah, I just had my first graduating class.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Time fly.
Yeah, indeed, man. Well, we appreciate you, man. Earlier today, well, we got one last segment. This segment right here is called Call Them Out. On this one right here, man, I believe your camera's right there. We want you to look at that camera and, well, first and foremost, have you enjoyed yourself?
I'm enjoying it. Yeah,
it's been great.
Okay,
cool,
it's been great.
Well, now we would like to know, in your circle, in your network, we need other dope individuals just like yourself that would love to come on the Bro Code Show. So take your time. You're going to look into that camera.
I know who I'm going to say, too.
Let them know.
I'm just saying their name.
Let them know their name, who they are, and they tell them they need to be on the Bro Code.
I'm calling out Renee Daughtry, my project manager from Cisco Systems.
Yeah.
You need to come to the Bro Code.
My man,
yes,
Renee.
Sir.
We know Renee too. Yeah.
Oh, y'all know. He's a good guy.
Cemetery, man. I worked with him a couple times. He's a black man of Raleigh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good dude, man. Good dude.
Got to. Yeah, he my inspiration. I want to be like him.
Yeah, man. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate it. It's good to, and it's by no coincidence that you know him. Yeah, it's no coincidence, indeed. Well, earlier in this conversation, we asked you one word that you use to describe yourself,
right?
Or a word that you use to encourage yourself. And you said unorthodox. So
unorthodox.
We got something for you.
So part of our show is always making sure that our guests understand that they matter. So
okay.
So we got our $2 bill, which has "You Matter" on the front. It has your name on the front. On the back, the Bro Code Show. It also, we all signed it for you. It's just a way for us to say, man, we appreciate you coming on our show and how much you matter, obviously, to yourself, your family, and this campus, man. The word, you know what? When you said the word, I was like, I Googled it. It's a powerful word, man. I don't fit in.
Okay, yeah.
I fit out. That's really what it means. So we appreciate it and make sure you have it.
Yeah, indeed, man. Like the $2 bill, we're all unique and rare, brother. So
I appreciate it, man.
We appreciate you, and I think that tells a really testimony of your life anyway, you know, and how you've evolved into now. And 5 years later, let us know when you go to Nairobi, right? We want to be right there with you, brother. We look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed.
I keep you posted. So where do I check y'all out on the regular? Y'all got regular viewing, or how does that come off?
So you can always go to our YouTube page, the Bro Code TV Productions. We'll make sure you get hooked up With that, before you leave tonight, we're on Instagram at Bro Code Show.
Okay.
Also on Facebook, the Bro Code Show as well.
Okay.
And all audio platforms. So whether that is iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Reacher, whatever the case may be, we're on all of them, man.
Wonderful.
So whether you want to look at us or you just want to travel and hear it in the car, man.
Okay, got them on all platforms. I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been wonderful having y'all here.
Well, we appreciate you too, man. We always end the show on a positive. Tonight's quote says, "And an investment in knowledge pays the best." It's your boy, Bro Troy.
Proctor.
We are
Bro Code.
So yeah, man, I appreciate it. That's good. So, John, is it possible that you
closing the curtains, but I got something to say. I got something to say. I mean, I just don't get it, as if they can't see you making the way. City lights, what up? He's preparing the way. City lights, what up? How could you live for tomorrow if you ain't promised today?
The Bro Code TV show was created to amplify the voices of others and share courageous stories of community leaders, organizations, and businesses that are doing great things. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., you can catch Bro Troy, Bro Kirk, and Bro Smith for another courageous conversation. You can find those conversations on our YouTube channel at Bro Code TV Productions, and also our audio podcast channels, which are on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts at The Bro Code Show. Tap in to the Bro Code experience. We all we got. The Bros just got stronger. We've added a new member to the team, Ruth Proctor. The blonde bombshell herself will be hosting this new segment called The Proctor Report. This segment will share behind-the-scenes footage and engage questions from our listeners from a female point of view. Tap in to the Bro Code. Stay tuned for a new segment on the Bro Code show called The Rehash. You'll learn more about the bros personally and what drives them as men and community leaders. The Rehash will be available on YouTube and all audio podcast platforms every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tap in to the Bro Code.
We always say that hope plus options equals success. When there's a lack of hope, oftentimes gravitate towards unfavorable decisions. But when we can provide hope plus options, our children will ultimately be better. Through love, consistency, opportunity, and exposure, that's how we really touch these kids. That's how we empower them, that's how we inspire them, and that's how we encourage them. And that's what we do well here at Y4C.